Somatic experiencing is like the therapy of Peter Levine, and it's like a body-based approach. So basically, Peter Levine says that trauma is stuck in the nervous system. And that was mind-blowing to me, because this is where I also realized why talk therapy was not enough.
Welcome to the Phase 4 podcast, inspired by Vishen Lakhiani and Ajit Nawalkar, co-founders of EverCoach, a division of Mindvalley. In this podcast, we speak to coaches and creatives about where they were, where they are, and where they are going. This is the intersection of what we focus on expands, and your story is your superpower. My guest today is Federica Lazza. She is a holistic life coach. Included with that is some somatic exercises, and she's also a surfer. We're going to talk about that and much more. And Federica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, definitely grateful. I always kind of begin with just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up in this space?
Yeah. So I hope we have enough time. No, I'm joking. So I was a fashion photographer for 11 years, and I was loving my job, and I was undergoing like talk therapy. At a certain point of my life, I was feeling this need of change, but I didn't know what it was. The change. I was open and I was curious to see what life was giving me. And so I decided to go on a surf trip for the first time surfing. So I never experienced surfing or whatever. And before, I had also a critical mind towards like surfer or whatever. I was like, oh, this Peter Pan that doesn't want to grow up and whatever, But then in the end, I arrived in this surf house, and I realized that I've missed a lot in my life until that moment. The community was amazing. I never felt so heard and seen. Surfing, I started surfing, and surfing was giving me like a connection to nature that was incredible. So I had to stay there a week, but then I decided to be there for 2 months. And when I came back, I decided to sell my house in Milan and just dedicate myself to where is my authentic self, because I realized there that I was completely disconnected by my authentic self. And so this is where it started my journey of self-discovery, where I also understood that talk therapy was not enough anymore to me. That I was disconnected to my body, that I was completely critical towards spirituality. And so I started to be interested into the holistic approach while traveling and whatever. And then I finished in Sri Lanka before COVID. So I got stuck there during COVID. And I see a reality that I never saw before. I also had a boyfriend from there. From Sri Lanka, and it opened up like different thing inside me. So I start to deep dive into traumas, into psychology, into the connection mind and body and spirit, into what does it mean feeling emotions, because I thought that, I don't know, I say I'm happy so I'm feeling the emotions, but no, that doesn't mean feeling the emotions. I started to understand what boundaries are, and then I woke up in the morning and all my friends were like, sorry, I was saying, okay. I was like all my friends were like asking me advice and whatever. And they were like, why don't you make it like your job? And I was like, yeah, but I don't feel prepared. I don't know. It's not my time. And then I felt my time arrived. And this is where I am right now.
That's so cool. And especially being like up and down, right? In COVID, being in Sri Lanka is probably one of the places in the world where they don't have like the resources and the government's not able to just print money. I think I saw something about the inflation since COVID just in Sri Lanka has gone up like 52 or 82%, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's hard. But to see that, then that opens you up in a different way. But before that, we're talking about talk therapy. I think this is huge, what you're saying. It's important to do it if you need it. But it also has to get to a point where, like, man, I'm just going to this person once a week, telling them how I feel, and I'm not getting any results except them. They're getting lots of results and money, right? They're getting paid over and over, but I'm not moving the needle. And so then you start doing it. I would be curious for, personally, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But growing up in Italy, because you have the Catholic Church, because it's so predominant in Italy, do you think that had anything to do with that? Stand, sit, kneel, you're good, you're bad, you're not. And then you wake up one day and go, what?
So that's like a really interesting question. Like, I'm a different Italian, I would say. I mean that my family is pretty not Italian, you know, like my mother is Catholic, but not as Catholic as so many other Italians. As my favorite food is rice and curry, and it's not pasta, So, but there's an influence. I feel it, and it's in a like close. It's like I don't want to feel like judgmental, you know, but there's something that I was stuck in a way of thinking that was really close, let's say like this. So this is what I felt that the Catholic like influence gave it to me. And I feel it even in the psychology, you know, like here, if you are a coach, you're not really well seen because you didn't go to the best university. But sometimes experiences give you a lot. And I would say also that there's, like, for me, my main value is curiosity in people, you know? And I feel that this is also one of my best part. I was so curious that I think that I studied like 7-year university in like 5 years, you know? So, yeah, that's like, that's right.
I appreciate it. It's a tough one. So for me, because I grew up Catholic and I see all these things and maybe it's not the Catholic, maybe it's the way my parents taught it to us. But it was just one day I woke up, I was like, what? And so when that wakes up, and you said also at the beginning, you felt like there was more inside. There's something more, right? And so anyone listening to this for sure feels that there's something more for me. And this is Joseph Campbell. The book is not the book's called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, but he talks about the hero's journey and how you're just walking through the ordinary world. And then all of a sudden, one day you get that feeling or that calling, and you even try to ignore it at first, right? And it sounds like your friends were like, yeah, you need to make a career out of this. Everyone's coming to you for advice, but you kind of ignore it. But then the calling keeps coming back. And that's how you know that it's meant for you. So when that calling came back, you started to take, you started to take life coaching certifications. And did you say something about somatic breathing as well?
Somatic experiencing is like the therapy of Peter Levine, and it's like a body-based approach. So basically, Peter Levine says that trauma is stuck in the nervous system. And that was mind-blowing to me, because this is where I also realized why talk therapy was not enough, because trauma is stuck in the body also. And like sometimes we don't even think about it, but even the same with emotions, you know, like we don't know how to feel, like no one teaches us how to feel emotions in our body. And when I discovered it, I was like, oh, wait a second, until now, where I was living, what I was thinking, you know what I mean? When they told me the first time, where do you feel anger in your body? I was like, oh, yeah, that's a great question. But these help us to connect to our gut feelings, to our instincts, because in the end, we are animals, you know? And I think that the best thing that we have is intuition. And so somatic experiencing connects you so much to the body that then you're able to listen to your intuition.
100%. And there has to be the connection. Like, it's not separate. There's a physical, emotional, psychological, and all three of them make you who you are. the quote you're talking about from Peter Levine, trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness.
Yes.
And so I had a beautiful soul on the other day named Carissa, and I never heard it that way. Almost a very similar quote. You know, Gabor Mate? I don't know how to say his name.
I love Gabor Mate. I did also some t-shirt with his definition of trauma, because I'm like, everyone should know. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And so I've been dealing with this. I facilitate groups around it, and I never heard it that way before, that trauma is not something that happened to us. Trauma is something that's inside of us. And that's such an important distinction, because if it happened to us, then you can't do anything about it. And this was Carissa's point. If it happened to us, then you're powerless to do anything about it, because it's done, it's gone, and you can't change it. But if it's inside of us, now we can get to that somatic exercise of releasing it and letting it starting to heal.
Exactly. And that for me was really mind-blowing, because I can tell that Gabor Mate has like a therapy that is called compassionate inquiry. And it takes a lot from the somatic experiencing by Peter Levine. It's all like a body-based approach, but there's also a part of talk therapy and whatever. But yeah, sometimes I felt like, even when talking with friends, you know, like when I was undergoing through talk therapy, I was a kind of obsessed to remember my trauma. But there was things that I couldn't remember. And the pressure the therapist was giving to me, like, but you don't remember what happened to you when you were 2 years old. And I was like, how? No, like, I mean, you know, how can I remember? Or maybe, am I crazy that I don't remember what happened to me when I was 2 years old? But then when I started to see the approach of Gabor Mate, Peter Levine, and whatever, first of all, I felt human. And second, I was like, okay, that's even easier to detect what my trauma is. My main trauma is that I was not feeling safe, that I felt alone, that I developed inside me the belief that I'm not enough. That's a trauma. And who cares what exactly happened, what the event was, you know? So yeah, that's for me is mind-blowing. And this is what I feel it's so important to share even with my clients. That's why I'm doing in my coaching also like a YouTube course of mental health awareness, where I explain what is trauma, what are boundaries, what is self-compassion, because unfortunately we have a lack of awareness around the real meaning of these things.
Yeah. We're talking about like emotional intelligence there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've heard of this other thing. It's called positive intelligence, but it's a little bit of EQ and IQ kind of mixed together. But it's really good for coaches. It's something, if you don't know, positive intelligence, PQ. Check it out. Yeah. There's a guy named Shirzad Shamin. He teaches these courses, and he has a grant, like $100 million grant just for coaches. So you go in there with yourself and get a couple other coaches if you want. If not, they'll put you in a group with a couple other coaches, but it's really powerful and it's very, very fast. They teach you some kind of methods where you could do standing in a lineup, or, you know, just, you could do it anywhere and people don't even know you're doing it. And it comes with an app, but yeah.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing.
For sure. So maybe you said about boundaries. So can we talk about boundaries? And then I kind of want to go into like manifesting, creating your own future, all of the beautiful stuff that's on your website.
Yeah. So about boundaries, it's a part that for me is essential in my work, in my coaching, for the simple, main, big reason that, as Gabor Mate says, not putting boundaries can lead us into have chronic illnesses. Like the importance of saying no is extremely important also for our health, you know? And I can tell that as Gabor Mate says, like he did like a huge, massive research between all his patients because he's a medical doctor. And he realized that most of his patients, that that they were having like chronic illnesses. I'm not gonna share all the chronic illnesses. Their main problem and their main issue was that they were not able to say no, and there was like a sort of people pleasing, you know. So for me, boundaries are essential, because I was a person with a big lack of boundaries, and I understood that a lack of boundaries detach you from your true self. Because actually, another important quote of Gabor Mate, which I will try to reframe it, he says, if you say always yes, you will be maybe liked, but you will never be loved. And that's massive. Like, that for me was like, wow, that's really powerful. So I think like boundaries, now without I think, I'm completely sure that boundaries are extremely important. That's why even in my coaching, when I talk with my clients and I ask like, so listen, I have to suggest you like an action step. Are you willing to? And they say like, maybe no. Amazing. Thank you for saying no. Where do you feel this no in your body? That's so important.
Yeah. And so that's boundaries. There's a bit of no. And then creating your future, there's a bit of yes when you're doing that. Like if someone asks you to come on a podcast or do a speech, and you might feel like, no, I don't really want to, but that's just probably your brain keeping you up. But it's important to say yes sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say also that when you say no to the others, you say yes to yourself. So,
Yeah, for sure. And so your website is called Meet the True You, which is such a beautiful name. And can you talk about your website and maybe mix it with your coaching, what kind of coaching and everything?
Yeah. So I think like I created my website with all of me. All of me, and I mean that I'm a creative person. I've always been a creative person. As I said, I was, and still I am, of course, a fashion photographer. And so I was like, how can I put all together inside to show who I am? Because what I'm giving to the others is the opportunity to meet their true selves. So I'm like, so I need to show my true self, And it starts with like a video of me running, surfing, being in nature. And this is actually what I want that people feel, like this feel of freedom, of being authentic again. And when we can't meet our authenticity is due to trauma most of the time. So what I give to my coaching is different things. But okay, the main thing is meeting the true you. And second of all is like stopping negative self-talk, self-criticism, self-judgment, how to manage stress, because stress is a big part of our lives right now. So through that, doing like some stress release technique, or I can implement with the somatic experiencing practice, establish boundaries, and above all, heighten emotional intelligence. And so meeting their emotions, and don't be scared about their vulnerability, and also like teaching them and showing them what are emotions. Like I experience a lot of people having difficulties or troubles with anger, for example. I'm not talking about the reaction of anger. I'm talking about anger as an emotion. And some people like, they blame themselves that they are angry. And I'm like, no, anger is a super important emotions, because it tells us if our boundaries were crossed, for example. There's an immense power in anger. The problem of anger is how we react to anger, So even like feeling the emotions in our body. So that's mainly my coaching.
I love it. Yeah, all those emotions, anger, sadness, instead of trying to just force them away, we just sit with them and say, what are they trying to tell us?
Exactly.
Something's going on. It could be, like you said, but it could also be something where it's just a pattern that you've always done. Like, oh, when I was a kid, right? I remember when I was a kid all the time, we would go to this one place, and I remember my dad would always get mad at this place. And then as an adult, I went there even without my dad, and I would feel that in my body. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't know at the time, but later on, it's like, oh, I'm just connecting those time and location with that. And so, yeah.
Exactly. That's why one of the main questions that I always ask is like, when they tell me like that they feel like anger or sadness, you see that the body is truly reacting to these emotions, I'm always like, is there a past experience that you connect to these emotions that it becomes like overwhelming? And most of the time the people are like, oh yeah, actually, yes, there's this memory, but I don't even know why it comes up. And I'm like, yeah, but let's share it, and you see how emotion gets even stuck in your body, and your body remembers everything.
The body keeps score.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if you don't like work through it, let it go. Sadness is the easy one, right? Sometimes you just feel down, you feel sad. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. But if you try to force it away, it might stay around longer. Whereas if you just kind of, okay, I'm sitting with it, I'm not feeling it today, and then it moves right through you.
I also think that if you don't experience this emotion, then it will come back again in a certain way, and even in a worst way. You know what I mean? And even I think that we don't even know sometimes how to experience not just like uncomfortable emotions, because I don't like to say bad emotions. I prefer to call it like uncomfortable emotions. Sometimes I feel there's also disconnection to feel amazing emotions like happiness, joy, Like sometimes we are there, but we are not feeling it in the body. And that's completely different. It means like being present, being in the present moment. Which is what surfing gives. Sorry.
No. And even you said running, right? When you're talking about running and nature, but all of these things require you to be outdoors and kind of standing up instead of just sitting in a chair behind a computer all day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so we've got kind of what your website is, but who kind of specifically are you talking to? Like, I think you're talking to creatives, maybe even coaches, and who is your ideal client?
My ideal client are digital nomads, yoga teacher, creatives. Mainly this. And I say digital nomads because I feel that there's a big, we attract who we are, and I see that my clients are the mirror of what I was even before. So not even like just already digital nomads, but people that are willing to change and to transform their lives into, for example, digital nomadism or, freelancers. Surfing, yeah, why not? I'm here to suggest everything about surfing, for sure.
So I'm in Canada, and the federal government, all the government workers they're talking about going kind of on a strike this summer. And the reason why is that they were at 2 days or 3 days of the week were in the office, and now they want them to go back to the office more. And the workers are saying, no, we like this digital nomad kind, even though it's not for them. They still have to probably be in the country. But they're liking the idea of working at home. And they're saying, well, the bosses are saying, well, no, that's no good. We want you in the office. And they're saying, well, you didn't want us in the office 3 years ago, and you put it all online overnight. And now we have more productivity. We're happier. We're getting more work done. But now you want to bring us back. So I guess when you said digital nomad, that kind of made me think of that. But this lifestyle, right? So you said some of the things you said are where you used to be. And so this is one of the things in coaching, like your ideal client is really who you were 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly. And I feel that, if we have, I think healing and healers, it's about showing to the others, like your own personal experience. And that's what coach are right now. So yeah,
someone explained it to me like this: if you're going to I think it was jump out of a plane, would you want someone like to teach you, show you like, okay, this is what you do, and show you in a textbook, okay, then the plane gets to this height, and then you, or would you want someone who's done it before to come with you and show you how to do it? That wasn't the example, but you get the idea, right?
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah, exactly. That's why, like, for me, the main question that all my clients contact me is, yeah, but where do I start from? You know,
Good question.
because the healing journey is massive sometimes. You're like, oh my God, how many things there are? Because if you see it in a an holistic approach, you know, there's spirituality, so yoga, meditation, whatever. I mean, spirituality is also connection to nature, blah, blah, blah. And then there's overwhelming. Yeah. And then there's the emotions, and then there's therapy, and then you can do this and whatever. And like, I feel like they're completely like lost. And I'm like, okay, I've been through the same as you. Let's try to go and deep dive into this together.
Yeah, it's important, right? Because it just, yeah, it makes you, there's a thing in coaching too, where it's like, you can't take someone as far as you've gone, which I'm not sure how much I agree with it, but it's a good idea where like, yeah, you need to understand for the coachee, for the client, they want someone who's been through it instead of just a textbook. But I digress. I ask everyone, or I guess as we begin to wind down, if this episode resonates with you, please like, subscribe, share, follow, but no hard sell. And reach out to Federica. She's can help you with coaching, and she's also got some cool fashion photography. So we're going to leave the links to her information there, but some of it's pretty awesome. So I ask everyone this question, Federica, and this is the Phase 4 podcast, and Phase 4 in the 6th phase meditation by Vishen Lakhiani is all about creating your future 3 years from today. So where is Federica 3 years from today?
Whoa. Wow, that's a huge one. And I feel really emotional right now. So that's a good sign. I feel in 3 years, I will be really satisfied of myself with a huge community of people that we are gonna all work together into healing. I will have my Airbnb made in Sri Lanka. I will be a better surfer, more confident with herself. And I hope I will be loving myself even more than now. And yeah, this is where it's really simple, but this is where I see myself in 3 years.
That's so beautiful. So I've done probably 165 episodes, and that's the first time I heard somebody say, I want to love myself more, which is, we all want that, but no one actually articulated. Part of the reason I asked that question is so you could go there. And for those listening on audio, please go watch the video, because if you saw Federica take a moment, think about it. She said she got emotional, but that's what it's about. It's about feeling it. Where am I? And then what you're doing by doing that is you're giving your brain a target to reach for. So I definitely love the part about loving yourself more the most, just simply because I haven't heard it, even though I know everybody who answered that question probably feels the same way. And I think before I kind of ask my final question, I always let the guests take it wherever they want. So if you have something to sell, sell it. If you have a message of hope, inspiration, actually going to have 2 more questions, but wherever you want to take it.
But to be honest, I just like I didn't like I'm still like feeling what you asked, and I'm a little bit more in my body right now, to be honest. Like I still feel this tingling sensation.
Well, you want to stick with that more and keep with the Phase 4 and keep playing with that? Expand on it. Go ahead.
It's yeah.
Thank you.
I'm staying with that. It's like this question touched me hard. And I'm so grateful that you asked it to me, really. As you see, as Peter Levine says, like our nervous system is like are getting connected right now. Yes.
So if you have, I guess I ask kind of if you have something to sell it. If you have a message of hope, inspiration, or if you want to tell us something about surfing or anything, wherever you want to go.
So I'm selling, I have this one-to-one coaching and I'm not a good seller in a way that like, I don't like to say like, I have this and this and this. Like I'm really here to hold space for people and to truly feel what we felt like a few minutes ago, like this big sensation in the body of, oh my God, that's a yes, So I'm not going to say like, I'm here to sell this and this and this. I'm here if you want to deep dive into this with me. I'm here to hold a safe space for you. I'm here to hear you and see you. And it's just amazing to meet our true self. So it's a hard job. Still, sometimes I detach from my true self, but when you are close by, it's insanely powerful. It's the same feeling of when you're dancing and no one is watching,
Or in the shower.
Exactly. Or I would say when you catch a wave, but not everyone is a surfer, so
I know that feeling, right? That's when it's present. You're present, right? You're not, There's no, oh my God, when's the mortgage coming and all this other, it's right now, right here. For me, I know what you're saying about surfing. It happens for me when I'm running. It's just like, and you can actually see now with the watches, they tell you exactly the time of every kilometer. And like, so if you can get the same time almost, that's how I'm like, oh, I was definitely in flow for that part. It's like 10 kilometers in a row. They're all the same time within a couple seconds. You disappear, everything falls and melts away, and you're connected. That's it. You're connected and to just something way bigger, right? Not just even the planet Earth, which is massive, but the whole cosmos.
Exactly. Everything became like three-dimensional, like you hear sounds that are even more strong, like smells is like 3D and everything is different. And you just embody, like it's going back to you become again and you see again the genuinity and the innocence of you as a child, because when we are children, we are extremely authentic. We lose our authenticity while we grow. So who doesn't see a child and say like, oh, I wish I could be like them again, and we can actually. So
yeah. Do it all the time. That positive intelligence I was telling you about, he has one exercise where he gets you to go back and look at photos if you have them from when you're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do this, anyone can do this, but you'll see what you're talking about, that innocence, that full of life. And then you'll see in an older photo when the child's 7 or 8, how society ripped it out of them.
Wow. Society, childhood experiences, like everything. Oh my God. Yeah. We are completely, well, that's scary when you think about it.
It's crazy because I was listening to him do it and I'm like, no. And then I look at the photos, I'm like, oh, that was exactly when it happened.
Yeah.
But one thing you said earlier, and I didn't go to, you said people would be wondering, where do I start? And so do you have any information or ideas? Where would somebody start?
For me, the main thing to start from is realizing that we are humans, and so that we are animals, and so that we need connection. And the first connection can be also guidance, can be friends, can be therapy, can be whatever, but we need connection first. And where to start from? It depends on everyone's journey, to be honest. Like, there are people that prefer to start from the emotional part, and some people that prefer to start from spirituality. You know, like, every path is completely different. So for me, the main question you have to ask to yourself is, which is really hard, but what does my body need right now? You know?
Yeah. This is a good question for the fridge as well. If you ever go in the fridge and just,
Yeah.
I heard a guy, and I never thought of it that way, but I'm looking in the fridge. He's like, why you keep looking? You're just looking, and then you close the fridge and come back. He said, instead of going and saying, what do I want to eat? He said, what does my body need now? And most of the time, it's like, usually it's probably nothing, right? Maybe a glass of water, but
yeah, exactly. Or maybe you arrive there and you see like a piece of cake, and then you realize that you want a hug. Not,
yeah, right.
you know?
Yeah. The idea of connection, there's something in positive psychology. There's a model called PERMA, and it's just the letters, and it stands for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. And so I guess what I'm saying is maybe you could start with any of those 5, right? If you don't know where to start and you're really stuck feeling low, try to turn your emotions positive. Engage with other people, like you're saying. Find meaning in relationships and all of those things.
Yeah, and also like accept your vulnerability. Like, sometimes, yeah, we can feel lost, and there's nothing wrong in asking for help, you know? Like, I've been asking for help so many times, and I can tell that asking for help is a connection, you know?
Yeah, it's a boundary thing too. Because you know what? Before, I never used to ask for help. And the reason why was you're just, well, what if they say no? Almost like a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And then when you do ask for help, you start realizing that, oh, people are willing to help.
Yeah, exactly. And then you feel connected, and then you feel love, and then you feel you are worthy again. And so it's like a big cycle, a chain reaction that is worth it to try.
Beautiful. So my final question is, how can people reach you?
So they can reach me from my website, so www.meetthetrueyou.com. If you want to say it back again with your more perfect accent than mine.
Go to www.meetthetrueyou.com. We'll definitely put all those links in the show notes. But
Okay.
Federica, I'm so grateful for your time today, and thank you so much. This was really awesome.
Yeah, me too, the same, really. I'm so glad I was here. Yeah, thank you so much. Really.